Chapter 7 of the Gospel of Mark is a chapter which speaks about the festival of the tabernacles. Our gospel text of today is taken from chapter 7, verses 1 to 2, verse 10, and verses 25 to 30. In these verses, we are given two separate opinions about Jesus. The one is the opinion of the crowds. They have merely a very superficial opinion, namely, the question in their minds is Jesus the Christ? On the one hand, he is working tremendous miracles. On the one hand, he is a great orator and proclaiming the kingdom of God like no other has done before him. So they ask, can he be the Messiah? Yet, on the other hand, they say that we know where he comes from. And because we know where he comes from, he cannot be the Messiah. Because the scriptures say that when the Messiah comes, no one will know where he comes from. So the crowd are in a dilemma. The words and actions of Jesus are the words and actions of a Messiah. And yet, because they think they know where Jesus comes from, they are not able to accept or believe in their hearts that Jesus is truly the Messiah. The second group is a group of religious leaders who have completely closed their minds and their hearts to this revelation that Jesus makes. And because it is the Feast of Tabernacles, the feast where people lived in booths or in tents to remember their sojourn from Egypt to the promised land, as a reminder of that journey which they undertook, they would celebrate God's providence to them. And Jesus, in this context, speaks of himself as that tabernacle. The tabernacle which has been sent by God, the booth and the tent which has been sent by God, which he has pitched among us. In the prologue, John tells us that the Word became flesh and pitched his tent among us. That tent, that tabernacle, that booth is not merely an external booth, but it is the Lord himself. And the Lord invites both the people and the religious leaders to come to that tabernacle, to come to that tent, to come to the booth and to rest. But they will not. They will not because their minds had been made up in advance. They will not because it was difficult for them to change their ideas. They will not because they preferred to see God as a God who would punish if one did wrong and who would accept if one did right. They would refuse to see the God proclaimed by Jesus as a God who would love unconditionally both saint and sinner alike. As a God who wanted people to respond not because they wanted to earn his love, which was free, but because they had received the magnanimity of his love. How will you show that you have responded to the invitation that God has made in Jesus today?